Hallo allemaal. Hello everyone. Welcome. This is Mike, and today I want to go over the Duolingo course for learning Dutch. So as you can see, we're on the main website here, and this is the course to learn Dutch. I've only done the introduction video so far, but that's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a couple of pictures, and I'm pretty sure we'll come across those words again in this video, or maybe the next. My plan is for this to be an entire series. I don't know if we'll go over everything in the end because there's quite a lot to cover, and I think eventually you'll kind of reach a point like somewhere like around this that even though there's plenty more to do, it seems like a bit of a waste of time because at that point your Dutch should be good enough to actually understand the news or read some books or use some other ways which are more effective at that point. But in the very beginning, I think Duolingo is a very easy way to learn. It's completely free, so that's always nice. And there's a lot of extra stuff that can help you. So there's a bit of like extra information as well as the users you can ask. And of course, if you have any questions, you can just leave a comment and ask me, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Okay, so for today's topic, we'll just do the basics 1. So for those of you who don't know, right here they have like extra information, and we'll go over this in a moment. And this is just like to start the course. This is what most people do, but I would recommend you to go over this. It's just like one. I'll zoom out a little bit. One paper with a bit of extra tips and tricks. So the gender and articles. So technically 3 articles, but really we only use 2 in Dutch. So that is the. Let's see if we can type that somewhere. It's like here, the. And you also have, which is like this, so de, right? So in the English, the, which is closest to de. And then there is the het, which there is no English equivalent of. So in English it's just all the, but in Dutch it's either de or het. And I used to think that there was no rules to this whatsoever, like you just had to memorize it. For the most part, that's true. There's no real way to know which one is which. But as you can see here, they do have a couple of tips with words that do always start with okay. So we'll look at some of those tips. For one, all the words with starting with de. De is always used for plural nouns. So, for example, you have het huis. I'll type right here in the corner. Het huis, the house. But when it becomes plural, it is de huizen. And this works for everyone, so that's a very useful tip. Then the second one is de is always used for professions. That's kind of good to know. De tends to be used for people with an identified gender, such as de vader, de dochter, the daughter, de oom, the uncle, and so on and so forth. De is used for vegetables, fruits, trees, plants, names of rivers and mountains. Okay, also good to know. And then they give like an extra tip on the endings. Okay, I don't think this is something most people will memorize. I certainly did not. But, it might be useful to add in one of those sticky notes on the side of your screen and just look at those words and see if it's correct. Did they also say most of the time, so be careful. This does not have to be 100% accurate all the time. Okay, finally, de is used for written out numbers and letters. De 3, de 1, de 2, de 4. I don't really think you use this all that often, but it's good to know that this is, if you do, it's always de. Okay, on to het. Het is always used for diminutives. Diminutives can be recognized by their suffix. They end in je, tje, etje, pje, or mpje. Okay, this one's pretty good to know. In and of itself, it does not really have any meaning, and it can be used for pretty much any noun. For example, the one I gave before, like the house, het huis, yeah. But if you say the house, het huis, sorry, het huis, het huisje, de huizen. So the reason it's de is because it's plural, de huizen. Normally it's just het huis, and because it's normally already het, this is not maybe not the best example. Let me give you the boom, the boom, the tree. But if you say het boompje, this is also the tree. So you might wonder, like, what's the difference? Why do you have this pje or je at the end? It's basically a way to make a word kind of more cutesy, a bit smaller. You often use it for children or animals like rabbits, het konijntje. And it can be used, as far as I know, for pretty much every single noun. There might be some exceptions, but yeah, it's just a way to cutify things a bit. That's the word, to make it more cute. Okay, one final thing that is not really mentioned here, but I would say it's not that important to know the differences between de and het. They say it is very important and just to memorize it, but they don't really talk about how many implications it has on the language. For the most part, it's not really relevant. People will understand you no matter what you use. So even if you would use de 100% of the time with every single noun, or het all the time, at the end of the day, I mean, a language is just a tool, and this does not make it any more difficult to understand you. It's just that you can immediately tell that you're a foreigner if you use the wrong one. That's basically what all it's good for. And there's another thing, like in university or higher level education, you might find that some people use the wrong ones, and they're really, it's just looked down upon, basically. But for the most part, it's not really a big thing. Like in normal day conversation, it doesn't really matter. It's just like when you start writing newspapers or whatever, you want to use the correct one, I guess. Okay, on to the next one. So these are the pronouns. Ik, jij, or je. Both can be used. They will teach it in another skill. I think that's a good thing because right now it's not that important. The only thing you have to know is that both can be used. Hij, zij, or ze. Het. U, wij, we. Jullie, zij, ze. One final note on u. It's indeed the formal way of saying you. There's no real English equivalent, but there are some, like in German, for example, you also have a more formal way of saying you. It's primarily used for elders or people that you're supposed to show respect to, like for a teacher, for example. It used to be for parents as well, like if a child would address their parents, they would say u, but that's really old school. And I think nowadays it's really not used that much anymore. In fact, I would say when learning Dutch, you should know that it exists, because in some of those tests they will use this, but you're really just fine using jij or je all the time. Also, this is the only way to use the formal version. There's no like formal version of jullie, for example. Only for you, directly you. Verb conjugation. Okay, the issue with this is that there's a lot of exceptions, so we'll come to that in future videos, I guess. But I'll just go over this list right here. Ik drink. Jij drinkt. Hij drinkt. U drinkt. Remember, this is formal. Wij drinken. Jullie drinken. Zij drinken. Okay. And finally, they close off by saying the alphabet and pronunciations are that the alphabet has the same amount of letters. With, for example, one of the things that is different. We have both the V and the F in Dutch, but the pronunciation is 100% the same. You cannot tell the difference between these two. It's only for written forms. I suspect it has something to do with how these words were pronounced in the past, but nowadays it's the same. So for example, a good example would be the word 5, so the number 5. So that's 5, very similar to English. Technically, it would not matter if you would write it like this, or this, or this, or this. It's all the same thing. You cannot tell with the pronunciation. The pronunciation is 100% the same, no matter it's to the first, the second, the third, or the fourth. It's just that you have to memorize the correct way to write it, quote-unquote correct way. This is the way we were taught, so that's this one. What else? Well, there's a lot more combination of two vowels together that produce unique sounds, like oo, au, ao, that sort of thing, which are different from English. But yeah, the amount of letters is the same, so good thing, I guess. Okay, I think I've covered pretty much everything right here. So let's start with the lesson. Okay, het meisje.
Het meisje.
Okay, one small little note here is that there is no way to remove the j in this case. There is for the jonge, het jongetje, but in the case of the girl, there's only het meisje. There's no meis or something. That's wrong. There's only het meisje. So keep that in mind. De jonge, de vrouw. Okay.
Ik ben een kind.
I am a child. Word for word, the grammar is just the same as English. So, I am a child. Ik ben een kind.
Kind. Een man of een vrouw?
A man or a woman. Een man of een vrouw.
Een meisje is een kind.
Een meisje is een kind. A girl is a child.
Hij is een kind.
Hij is een kind. He is a child.
Ze is een vrouw.
Ze is een vrouw. So in this case, you could also use zij. Zij is een vrouw. That would be the exact same. Een man of een vrouw. Een man of een vrouw. Yay, achievement. Okay, let's try another round. De appel.
De appel.
Het meisje, de melk. De melk.
De melk.
De man, de appel.
Ik eet.
Ik eet.
Hij drinkt.
Hij drinkt.
De vrouw.
De vrouw. So one final, one small note here.
Vrouw.
This OU together is pronounced as ow. But it's the same as this one. It's also ow. Which might be a bit confusing. I don't know why it is that way, but it's just the way it is. For example, the word blauw, which is blue, would be written like this, and not like this, although technically the pronunciation is the same if you just look at the letters. Okay?
Ik drink.
Ik drink. By the way, I don't know if you guys are bothered with the non-capitalized I's, but that's just the way I usually type. Feel free to leave a comment if you're really frustrated about that.
Hij drinkt melk.
Hij drinkt melk. He drinks milk. Okay, and that's it. So this is one of the reasons why I really like Duolingo. It really gives this sound effect of achievement and progression, even this experience level. Like it just gives you a sense, some motivation to keep going. I will warn you though, like I said before, like towards the end, it's not really all that useful anymore. I'd say like at least the first part, this part, fairly useful to do. And that's really the same with any language. In the beginning, you might want to use more like flashcards, and later on, you want to start just learning more words in context. So sentences in articles or newspapers or whatnot. Um, let's see. Level 0 still. 0, by the way, is nil. I know there's an English nil, but I guess that's where it came from. Nil. I'll type here. No. Okay. Let's make that a 1. A 1. There we go. Het brood.
Het brood.
Het water. Het sap. Sap is juice. It's not that clear from the picture, but that's what it is. By the way, kind of weird looking bread.
Het water.
Het water. Het sap. Het brood. Het water. Het sap.
Het sap. Je drinkt melk.
Je drinkt melk. So, you drink milk. Jij drinkt melk. Je drinkt melk. Both correct.
Het kind is een jongen.
Het kind is een jongen. The child is a boy.
Je bent een kind.
Je bent een kind. You are a child.
De man neemt brood.
What?
De man neemt brood.
Okay, the audio is a bit weird here. They sort of
Man.
connect these two words together.
Eet.
So individually they're correct, but it kind of sounds like one word when he says it. De man eet brood. Yeah, this is one of those things, by the way. I didn't mention this before, but since Duolingo is free, they use those weird text-to-speech kind of methods to produce sound. Sometimes the audio is a bit off, and this is one of those cases. So
De man neemt brood.
it really sounds like man-made. There's a man-made. Although in Dutch, made would be like measure. So the man measures bread as opposed to the man eats bread. So be careful of that. De man eet brood. Okay, and that's it. That's the first lesson. Yay! Alright. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, if you wanna leave a comment or ask questions, feel free to do so in the comments. It can be related to this lesson, could be to something else when learning Dutch. It's all fine. Just leave it in the comments and I'll see what I can do for you. Well, thank you very much for watching, and tot ziens.